Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start that. Can you see the screen now, all of you?
Yeah, we are able to see.
Not
Okay.
yet. Still showing the video.
Has not started yet.
Presentation yet.
Yeah.
PPT
I think
has
everybody. I think everybody else can switch off their video. I think it's still sort of.
You got to use that share button.
Yeah, but host is not allowing me to share. That's what it says. So host can allow me.
Try now.
Host
Then
is
it'll
bad.
be great.
Post is really bad, but just try now, Mira.
Just 1 second. Yeah. I think now you can.
Yeah, we can see it now. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the whole exercise is to understand the magnitude of the problem. I'm sure everyone who is in this meeting is probably much well versed than both of us. So I think we should know from you what exactly the magnitude of the problem is around. And basically to reinforce the concept of social distancing and quarantine. I don't think it applies for anybody in the US because nobody is following any norms there. But you have to stay safe. All the more reason you have to stay safe, because I'm hearing horror stories from my sisters who are there that people are not even bothering to maintain any social distance. But how can we keep ourselves safe? That is the most important thing. Not to scare anybody, we have known, because my colleagues out there and my very close friends are working in the UK and the US, the what we call BAME, BAME, Black, Asian, Minority, Ethnic, is the select population which are at high risk of COVID related critical illness there. So I would suggest that even if the Caucasian citizens do not follow the norms of social distancing and quarantine, நம்மள மாதிரி இருக்கிறவங்க கண்டிப்பா பண்ணணும். Precautionary do's and don'ts, very, very important. What are the effects of the lockdown? How do we manage our physical and mental health in the lockdown? And how to boost immunity and how to build up the constructive activities for kids and elderly? This is a new order of life. இப்படிதான் இருக்க போறது 6 மாசத்துக்கு. So online classes, everybody sitting under the same roof, conflict arising because of that, all that is going to be part and parcel of our life for another 6 months to come. So let us brace this and get on with it rather than moaning about it. And if we do that in good spirit, I think we will come through the pandemic very effectively. இதை பத்தி நான் பேச போறதில்லை. You're all veterans in the numbers. As I said previously as well, there is no prevention in terms of vaccine as yet. Neither do we have a proper medicine to combat the problem to give a cure. So adanaala vendida we are having social distancing, quarantine, isolation ellame. And minimum 6 feet distance, which is at least 2 meters. I will tell you the reason behind it. If a person is to be infected from a COVID particle, we need at least 1,000 viral particles to catch me infected. So what are the effects when somebody sits opposite to you at 2 feet distance? The number of particles which is given to me is only 20. And if you speak with that person, it may be going up to 200. If somebody with COVID coughs, it's 200 million. If somebody sneezes with COVID, it's 200 million. So you can imagine, if you don't wear a mask or you don't have the cough etiquette of doing it in your shoulder or elbow, you are directly exposing the person sitting in front of you with such a burden of COVID material. So that person is likely to be infected. So wearing a mask, both parties, definitely reduces the amount of viral load being transmitted. It's not just about the viral load, it's the duration of exposure of the person to the viral load as well, which is why we say 45 minutes is a big time. Whereas if I'm talking to a COVID patient for just 10 minutes, keeping my consultation soft and sweet, that amount of exposure is reduced. So it depends on the activity which increases the viral load. and also the duration of exposure, which is why we emphasize on 6 feet distance. Hope this will ring a bell every time you meet a person. You wear a mask and make sure they practice cough etiquette and we practice cough etiquette as well, which is why we are telling work from home unless essential. So if you are able to do 3 days a week at home and 3 days in office for people where all things are being opened up in the US and the UK, please stick to those norms for another 6 months. Yes, you will not be looked down upon as not being regular to workplace. At the end of the day, நம்ம ஆத்துல சொல்ற மாதிரி நம்ம வீட்டுல சொல்ற மாதிரி சுவர் இருந்தாதான் சித்திரம் எழுதலாம். So நீங்க நல்லா இருந்தாதான் வேலைக்கு போக முடியும். Then only you can show productivity. And if you're feeling ill, stay away. There is nothing wrong with staying away if you're ill, because you're doing a service by that, by not infecting somebody else. So don't be a martyr and keep going to the workplace if you're unwell. If you have this least suspicion, stay indoors. Online classes is a norm to stay. Exams will be online. You will have different timings, abnormal timings. Be supportive to your children. It's very difficult for us as even doctors to be getting used to screen time. It's causing a lot of sleep disturbances. I have been in webinar the whole day through. So it's not easy. So please support your children through this and make sure they have adequate gadget free breaks and make sure their eyes are being looked after as well. Dry eyes is a common problem with these things, so make sure that is also looked after. Be in touch with your loved ones again through Zoom calls, social media, rather than visiting them, especially if elderly. Recently, I did ask one of my colleagues who is in the front line as to, because I had to operate on a COVID positive person, I had to go and visit somebody who's not well. I took his advice and he said, don't go near that person for 14 days. I have not gone. So these things have to be kept in mind. We forget this even as doctors. So you also have to make that conscious attempt to rethink whom you are going to visit. If that person is more than 65, you're doing a great service by not going and seeing them in person at this point of time. This is a checklist for everybody to find out whether you could be harboring the symptoms of COVID. So none of these are unfortunately specific for COVID. It could be related to cold. It could be related to allergy. It could be related to swine flu. So none of these are specific. We are now starting with our swine flu season as well in India. So if you have a temperature not settling down for more than 3 days, possibly it's COVID. And if you're becoming breathless for normal things which you would otherwise do easily, you're probably having COVID. So I want to emphasize on the concept of quarantine and isolation. Quarantine is the terminology for a healthy individual who does not have COVID. This person is probably has been in contact with somebody with COVID or traveled from an area. இப்போ பாத்தீங்கன்னா Delhi, Bombay லேந்து வரவங்கலாம். You have to put yourself onto quarantine so that you do not infect others within the family. That is the most important thing. And if you're moving from a red zone, say if I go from Chennai to Coimbatore or Chennai to Erode, which has now relatively become a lesser zone in terms of COVID load, I should be quarantining myself because I will then be making that place a red zone if I were to infect somebody. So that thing has to be followed. So even if the lockdown is eased off, the people from the red zone going out into other zones is not permitted. You should be very wary of this situation so that we don't make the other green zones back into orange and red zones. This is about awareness of public health, others' well-being also, and making sure you are safe as well. Do not encourage unnecessary visits to your house and do not visit others' house as well. Don't share utensils. If I was to go to my in-laws' house in Trichy, I would have to eat separately and have my utensils separately, wash separately. I cannot mingle and make others possible for infection because they are elderly as well. 6 feet distance from family members, which is what has to be practiced for the safety for others as well. If you are infected and then you are put separate, that is called isolation. If you are not infected and you still are separate, that is called quarantine. That is the difference. So we all now here Like, for example, if Radha thinks somebody could be having COVID, whom she knows, she will ring me. I will give her a few numbers of people who potentially have beds, and they will get the patient in. They will observe the patient for 2 to 3 days, do a set of blood tests. The most important blood tests we look for are full blood count. They will also look into what is called the CRP and the ferritin. These are very, very important blood tests, and they might also do a CT chest and an X-ray. If any of these show high risk parameters, the patient will be kept in for another 10 days. If not, they will be discharged to COVID care centers or to their homes for isolation for 14 days, depending on the symptomatology, whether they fall into high risk or not, and depending upon the blood test parameters. Not every patient should be in the hospital. Then the real responsibility boils down to the individual to maintain isolation. If you're set off from the hospital, it does not mean you're scot-free and roam around. You put yourself in isolation. That responsibility has to be taken, because even if you're symptom free for the first week, the symptoms could flare up between day 8 and day 14, which time you are still infective. The symptoms are usually high-grade fever, excessive body pain, breathlessness, and excessive tiredness. So these symptoms can appear after 1 week of COVID. And if somebody turns out to be COVID and does not have any symptoms for 2 weeks, we retest the person with a swab on day 14 and day 21. If both the swabs are negative, that person has become COVID negative. So hope that is clear for everyone. So why are we doing all this? We are doing it to flatten the curve. We could have very well not announced lockdown in March and carried on hunky-dory like every other country. We couldn't have afforded to taken up the health burden which comes with it, because there is only so much healthcare capacity. And these 3 lockdowns or the 4 lockdowns were utilized for our healthcare system to expand the facility to various auxiliary centers as well, to look after the COVID patients, to form protocols and to do the condonement of these areas, to find out which areas could be possibly better managed at home, equip our healthcare facilities, equip our public with the awareness and these kind of restrictions. If it all was suddenly entrusted on us, we would not know what to do. Now we have learned to great extent that we need to work out these practices. So what we have managed is to broaden the curve, which is otherwise called as flattening of the curve. Broadening of the curve has made our COVID season a bit more prolonged, but we are not seeing a huge peak like what happened in Italy, because we couldn't have afforded to cope with the big onslaught of these disease burden, because our population has got a significant number of diabetic and hypertensive who are not in their 70s and 80s, who are well within 50s. So we need to protect that population, and that is the reason the government took such a strategy of announcing various lockdowns. So wash your hands with alcohol-based sanitizer and soap and water, a must. Mask is not a substitute to hand washing. Mask is just there to reduce the viral burden exposure. So wearing a mask should not give you a false sense of security, which is what is happening nowadays. I see, especially with sanitizing workers. They all sit together and eat with the masks on. That is not social distancing. We have to have adequate distance between each other. So just in case that person is positive, we are not having the viral burden on us as well. Try not to touch any part in and around the nose, face, or mouth, because this has direct access to the throat where the viral particles are harbored. If you think you could have come into contact with a COVID person, wash your hands immediately and go home and do a salt water gargle with the warm water, because that will kill most of the viral particles which are there. Maintain cough etiquette and hygiene. Seek medical attention if you have difficulty in breathing and a high fever. Do not assume that you know that it is not COVID and keep sitting at home. The COVID, the problem is you are well till the point you're well. The moment you become unwell, COVID doesn't give you 24 hours. you crash within 24 hours. So you better take notice of any worsening symptoms or new symptoms and better get checked immediately, and do not be complacent about seeking medical help, because once the severity is attained, COVID does not spare time. That is the most important thing. This is something for healthcare workers or people who work with patients. Make sure you hand wash, wear gloves appropriately, and take off these things correct sequence. The most important thing we have found out is the taking off the things. If people don't follow correctly, that infects them. And do not wear jewelry to workplace. Do not carry a bag. Do not carry your wallet, ID card, everything like what you would normally go. Leave it in a Ziploc cover in the car or in a place, and then disinfect that Ziploc bag and then take it back home. When you reach home from a place outside, I would suggest people who go for grocery shopping and other things in the UK, US as well, each one of you take turns to go. Don't take the entire family like an outing, which we all used to do while in the UK. The single person goes. If you are going 1 week, your spouse goes the other week, but for the whole week. Leave your bags in the car. Make sure you come home, wash your hands, then ask somebody to let you in. Leave the grocery or whatever in the balcony in place where there can be a bit of sunshine. Then keep it inside. Disinfect the area. You take a shower or wash your hands thoroughly and then mingle with your family. Do not go and hug your family or your children the moment you enter inside. Do not wash your hair every day. It's not possible. You will either go bald or gray. That's not possible every time. But if you think you have been sweating or you've been in a crowd, definitely. So the most important high risk events which will increase your viral contact is somebody with COVID positivity for more than 20 minutes has been in the vicinity, large crowds, large gatherings. So if we avoid these three, the duration of exposure or large crowds or large gathering, we are still low risk. So walking alone in the beach or the park will not get COVID because you're walking alone. But if you're running together in a marathon, you're sweating and there is contact sports and people keep rubbing you or hugging you, that is high risk. So we all know there have been significant psychological effects of the lockdown: loneliness, boredom, anxiety, stress. How do I find if somebody is anxious or phobic about the whole? Many people have developed what we call OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder for hand washing. If you become restless, you feel panicky or sweaty, or you feel palpitation the moment you hear about COVID, or you think you have to obsessively go wash your hands every 10 minutes, you definitely have developed some degree of psychological effect due to the COVID scenario. You need to consult a doctor. There are many patients out there, especially the lady of the house who has developed these kind of problems. I consult them. They do not know whether they are doing the right thing, and that is the reason for the anxiety. You do not need to keep washing all your vegetables with. I had a query from one of my patients that she had to wash all the vegetables with potassium permanganate. So she called up in a panic saying, should I throw all the vegetables? I said, you don't need any chemicals to wash these vegetables. You just wash them with warm water, turmeric and salt or sodium bicarb, and they are good to use. You're going to boil them, you're going to cook them, you're going to steam them. The viral particles definitely get destroyed. So it is not a worry. We all have to move to the stage of growth in the knowledge about COVID. There is no point being afraid, and we should learn how to live with COVID and practice the hand hygiene and social distancing so that we are all safe for the next 6 months to a year. Very important to manage healthy eating. Have a strict regular sleep schedule. Go to bed at the same time. This is not vacation. We all still got to do work. So have a regular sleep time. Definitely no to alcohol, because alcohol reduces the immunity levels and also reduces your guard and vigil levels. And also practice home workouts, spend quality for family time, and limit news and social media exposure, because one, they are scary. There is a large amount of hype about the whole situation. They do not give you facts in the way facts have to be given. They do not tell you the denominator of the population who has been exposed to COVID, or the number of people who are discharged, or the number of people who are cured, or the number of people who are asymptomatic. They tell you who are all positive every day, and they tell you how many have died. It's scary to watch. As doctors, we understand, but imagine I was a 70-year-old retired person. I keep watching the news in various channels, and every channel says 200 people died, 300 people died. My heart rate will be 200. So do not do that. Limit your exposure to social and digital media who constantly bombard you with statistics. That is what is not needed. You can instead listen to these things and understand why. Okay. A good host has upgraded the meeting.
Yes, I thought
Okay.
there was a lot of people, so I didn't want everybody to go through inconvenience. So
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. So these are the ways which we can engage. It's self-explanatory. I'm not going to waste my time on that. I want to touch upon what is called the gut microbiome. This everybody should be aware, which is why we tell don't eat sugary items, don't eat too much starchy items. Take plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. Keep yourself hydrated. Avoid constipation. Take plenty of curd and buttermilk so your gut microbiome is maintained very well, because our immunity is very much dependent on the gut microbiome. This is just to give you a list of things which are good in vitamin A, minerals, and antioxidants. People say, shall I?
Dr. Meera is on mute.
Meera, sorry. Instead of unmuting somebody else, I muted you actually. If you can unmute
How
yourself.
dare? How dare?
No, somebody else was talking, so I was about to mute them, and
No problem. Okay. I know you had your turn to shut me up. That's fine. I'll get you back.
Those who are can you please be on mute? We are able to hear somebody else talking on the back.
Definitely take plenty of vitamin C. All your citrus fruits, cranberry, gooseberry, guava are all very good sources of vitamin C. Take plenty of walk in sunshine if you can. Your terrace, your balcony, or a walk on the stroll in the park will be doing enough vitamin D. All Asians out there in the US, UK, and for that matter in India, without testing, I'm telling you, 95% of you are vitamin D deficient. Please take vitamin D. For COVID, vitamin D is a protective armor. So please take vitamin D. We will give you the dosage and everything as well. So I will let you know about that. Zinc is one other component which we all advise to be taken in plenty. Not much is available. You can take tofu, seafoods, dried beans, and nuts. Walnut is a very good source of zinc, but I think we should all take it as a tablet form so that we are protected against the COVID seriousness or the severity. So this I've already mentioned. Practice deep breathing, definitely. 12 deep breaths every day, morning and night. Cut down on your salt and sugar intake. Definitely avoid alcohol and smoking. Meditation and yoga. Everyday physical workout. Consistent sleep schedule. Children and elders, 2 to 3 hours screen-free time before going to bed. Otherwise, you will develop sleep disorders because this is going to prolong for another 6 months. This is regarding washing. You don't need to wash. Do not try and share everything at this point of time. This is very important when the schools open up. Give packed lunch only for your child. Instruct your child not to share the food, not to take food from others. Yes, it will become unsocial for the time being, but that's how we all have to follow for the next 6 months at least. Always people who consume non-vegetarian diet, Keep the non-vegetarian diet separately stored in the fridge from the vegetarian diet. Make sure you use separate utensils, separate chopping boards, separate knives for both, and wash thoroughly. Wear kitchen gloves to do the non-vegetarian diet, and wash after that so that you don't mingle both together, because the source can be infective and so can the food be infective. After you cook it, it's not a problem. For people who eat frozen meals, make sure it's piping hot and do not keep reheating, because in a climate like ours, US, UK, not a problem. With our climate here and the refrigeration not being reliable, if you keep reheating food, that itself can be a source for infection. So don't reheat meals more than once. I've already told about these. You can still watch this PowerPoint later on. When you buy packed foods, tend not to use processed foods for the time being. Everything, make it at home or make it fresh. These packaged foods can have a lot of sugar content, and we do not know whether it has been handled and stored properly. So try not to use too much of a packaged or processed foods, the tinned, canned, and the packed foods for the time being. Certain myths and facts about alcohol. Um, Definitely, alcohol is not a disinfectant if you consume. It will not kill the virus. There will be propagation of the virus. So it will cause more susceptibility because it crashes the immune system. So your COVID problem can become serious. So stay away from alcohol in this time. And alcohol generally brings along with it the smoking habit as well as the junk food habit. Both are not to be encouraged during COVID time. So avoid alcohol exposure at all costs. Uh, can everybody mute, because there's a lot of disturbance? This is a very important slide. This is mainly for our family members. I tell this to all individuals to look out for these people, age above 70, anybody with lung problem, kidney, liver, severe diabetes, very obese or sleep apnea, steroid problems, and pregnancy. Extremely high risk are all those cancer patients and transplant patients and patients with heart disease, especially pregnancy with heart disease. If you do not have to go outside, and if you think it is not essential, please do not go outside. Simple as that. Especially people who fall into the high risk and extremely high risk. We will all be tempted to take our parents just to go and see another relative, or just to go, okay, one day, let me take you outside. If it is not essential, do not feel bad to say no to them. I'm sorry, you are high risk, you are better off inside. It's okay. They will not tell you off for that. It is for their good you're doing it. Please be very strict with it. It's very tempting for us to do this, but try and stick with this criteria. This is just for personal hygiene, how to look after your family members, and how to do social distancing. I tell my pregnant ladies very strictly, no balagapu, no pochutal, everything online. And be happy if you don't get a wedding invite. It's not that you're not important for them, it's that you're saved from COVID. So doesn't matter if you don't get a wedding invite for the 1 year, be happy about it. These are norms which we will have to carry on for the next 6 months, especially people abroad. Now that we at least have this lockdown and the strictness and all that, though people are not respecting that to a great extent, but there is no such strict enforcing there. So you yourself will be a bit laid back about the whole thing, but try and practice it, because as such our ethnicity is slightly at higher risk. Regarding pregnant population, I advise them to have remote consultation, like online consult. I do a telephonic call for every patient every week, just making sure they are okay even after their delivery. Lessen the amount of direct visits, maintain at least 2 meter social distancing when they are all coming into the clinic. Vaccination, they have to go get their vaccine done. Do not postpone that. All pregnant ladies, patients who are diabetic, patients who are 65 and above, asthmatic patients, patients who are smokers should have flu vaccine now. There is no go against that. So have your flu vaccine as well. And scans have to be regularly taken. I limit the number of visits to 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 32 weeks, and 36 weeks. I encourage them to breastfeed, and always contraception a must. It's a wrong time to have an unplanned pregnancy. More so difficult is termination of pregnancy at this point of time, because we are not taking up elective cases at this point of time, because everybody who is undergoing a general anesthesia is at high risk. So we do not advocate all that. This is a small pack which we have put together in our clinic called the Fight Corona Pack. It has masks, it has a hand sanitizer, it has a combination of tablets of vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, and your immunity, along with in the PowerPoint. This we have discussed. I suggest you go through the PowerPoint itself later on. Otherwise, we will not have time for questions. Basically, what it says is you do not put sanitizer on the vegetables. You just clean the vegetables with water, turmeric, as well as sodium bicarbonate. If it is in a packaging, you apply the sanitizer, wipe it, leave it in sunshine for 20 minutes and take and keep it inside the fridge. Okay. Same with medicine strips and packs as well. Direct sunlight, sanitizer, keep them in a box and include room temperature. All this is for immune boosting system. Basically, if you have whole grains, anything which is yellow, red, and green in color, that is going to enhance your immunity. Try to avoid oily items, try to avoid processed foods, try to avoid sugary and salty items. Nuts, mainly almond and walnut. Cashew and pista do not count as food. Okay. Finally, remember the most important 5. Wuhan, which is wash your hands for W. U, use your mask appropriately. H, having temperature checked regularly. A, for avoiding large crowds. And never touch your face area with unclean hands. And maintain social distance, whatever the lockdown may be. Okay. I just give it on to Dr. Raghavan to take some of the questions, and then we will also go through the questions. Thank you.
Dr. Meera, you can stop sharing so that the
I've
transmission
done.
becomes easy. Yeah, thanks.
Done. Thanks.
I have answered as many questions as I could in the chat box. So hopefully it answers many of the
Can
questions
you
that are raised.
read it out so it'll be useful for everybody?
It's in the chat box, so hopefully everybody has read about it. But I will
Okay.
go through it. Immediate
Not every
medication.
question, at least important ones.
Yeah. So the question first, I wanted to say, what are the symptoms for COVID? Many people are asymptomatic because if your viral load is low and you are coming under the low risk category, yes, especially young people, no comorbidities, you will not have any symptoms at all. But sadly, you will harbor the virus and transmit it to others. So by wearing a mask and social distancing, you are primarily protecting yourself and the society. So you have a duty towards society, and hence we have to maintain that duty. Once you have a COVID, you will have symptoms such as sore throat, dryness, cough, and then slowly you start having fever. At this point of time in the world, if anybody has fever and sore throat, it is deemed COVID unless proved otherwise. So it's natural for any doctor to test you for COVID. End story. That's the way we will do it. So asymptomatic carriers are people who have various but not manifesting any of these things. Symptomatic people are one who manifest the disease. Once you have symptoms, you either stay that way or you progress and it becomes serious. Thankfully, people who are low risk, such as don't have a liver disease and don't have kidney diseases, usually don't go into the fatal states. So that's the reason elderly people with kidney disease, with liver disease, not just diabetes with kidney disease, that becomes a concern for all of us. So if you have diagnosed as COVID, all you need to do is go into a quarantine, as Dr. Meera rightly put it, or isolation, where you're staying away for 14 days. All the people around you will be tested. They are called contact tracing, and therefore those people who from you have got the virus will also be advised the same as well. Suddenly, why the numbers in Tamil Nadu has gone through the roof? The reason why is because we have more kids, and secondly, the contact tracing is happening at a very high stage. Say, let us say 10 people in Trivika Nagar is diagnosed with COVID. The 10 people's 10 relatives into 100, into 10, into 20 gets tested. And those people who are having disease are isolated and taken into the isolation centers. Tamil Nadu is teeming with asymptomatic carriers lying in all around the places, such as schools and colleges as well. So the idea is that we are trying to isolate them so that they don't become a transmitter for the other person. Now, so if you have symptoms, stay put. It is not heroic to think that, oh, I'll be all right. I take paracetamol. The கெத்தெல்லாம் இதுல செல்லாது. கெத்து எதுக்கும் செல்லாது. உங்க viral load அதிகமா இருந்ததுன்னா, your God is calling to come to heaven to you. Okay, just pray that your viral load is not high. Don't be heroic here. There is no heroism at all in COVID. Now, next question is mask. Is mask protective? Dr. Meera has already told it. I want to reinforce. Mask cannot be 100% protective, but by having a mask, you primarily, reduce the volume of viral transmission. Either you are giving to others or others are giving to you. Imagine you both have masks and maintain a social distance. The amount of virus that will get transmitted to you or from you to others will be so low. And that's how the mask becomes protective. So you are protecting yourself and you're protecting the society. You have a duty bound to the society to do that. Thirdly, I said COVID is an enveloped virus. The moment you use soap and water, not fanciful Dettol, Lifebuoy, whether 99% virucidal or not. No. Just soap and water. The detergent will break the envelope of the viral particle, and therefore it becomes, susceptible for damage and death. So simple soap and water and washing hands. Leave your shoes outside. Say you are living in a flat. You are not able to go inside with the shoe. You leave the shoe inside. At least leave the shoe outside for half an hour to 1 hour before you take it and put it inside. If you are in a set of flats, leave the shoe outside as well. What is going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. In our house, we have a bucket of water for people to wash their legs and hands before they come in. So if it is possible, do that. If it is not possible, leave your slippers outside. Next is clothes. If you have clearly outside, inside. If you go outside, be it for your work, to buy vegetables, whatever, when you come home, wash hands, hand sanitizer, straight to the bathroom or wherever it is, take your old clothes off, either wrap it up and take it and keep it aside in a safe place within a plastic cover so that it will be useful for the next time, or put it for washing. Okay, so your house, the clothes used in the house and the clothes used outside are completely different, and keep it separate. Now, as I said, I put in the group, in the chat, about all the health supplements that you can take. Just healthy diet and strictly no alcohol, no smoking, if possible.
I just want to pick out on certain things regarding care of elderly, care of people who have chronic illnesses, cancer follow-up, and so on and so forth. Now, all of us do online consultation. So if you are due for a follow-up, especially for your elderly parent or for yourself for diabetes and things like that, do consult your physician, see whether they can do online. If they are not able to do online or they advise you to come personally, you are okay to go as far as you maintain the social distance, not in a crowded place, and also wear a mask when you go to those places. You can have most of the blood test, and the blood test can be appended online on an app or a platform, or sent to your doctor's chamber by any means of digital media. They can review those reports. You don't need to make that trip for showing the reports and for review. But if you're a cancer patient and a follow-up is due, do not postpone your PET scan. Do not postpone your follow-up CT scan just for the sake of COVID. It can become detrimental. This is some message I want to give out to everybody. Same holds good for patients with diabetes, anybody with new onset of symptoms, especially elderly. If you have any bleeding, any ulcer which is not healing, any new indigestion symptoms, any bloating, loss of appetite, loss of weight, don't wait for COVID to go. It's not going to go for the next 6 months to 1 year. But your symptoms are more important, so please consult the doctor. Everything cannot be put on hold just because of COVID. We have to practice these norms of new social distancing and social and personal hygiene, yet get on with their life as normal as possible. Avoid unnecessary travel, unnecessary crowding. That is the message out here.
Dr. Meera and Dr. Raghavan, one of a few questions that has come in the WhatsApp when I sent the invite were, in case you already covered it, pardon me if I'm asking you to repeat again. People had
No
asked,
problem.
should I, maybe it's possible that I may have already been infected and then got all right. Should I go for an antibody test? If so, where do I do? Second was, if I'm infected, do I go to government hospital, private hospital? Is there any preference over one over other? We are hearing that there are absolutely no beds in most of the hospitals. How do I go about doing those things? So these are really haunting a lot of people. I just thought I'll put it in front of.
Okay. You want to take the first question? I'll go with the second one.
Antibody test. If you don't have symptoms, there is no need for test.
Yeah.
Assume that you are susceptible for infection, or you are susceptible to make others infected. So the universal precautions such as social distancing and mask will remain. If you don't have symptoms, you don't need test. But at the same token, we do test patients before they go and have a surgery done, because if that patient who's going to have surgery and he is a carrier, he can potentially transmit the infection to 10 or 20 other people as well. And he will make himself immune suppressed after surgery as well. So therefore, my recommendation is that, as Dr. Meera said, don't go into this little tunnel of COVID tunnel where you are always thinking about COVID, don't worry about antibody tests. The problem with antibody test is that there are two types of antibodies, IgM and IgG. I can go to the depth of it. You'll get terribly bored. The reliability is 30% in the worst to 90% in the height. If you combine both, and you also have so much of lab to lab variation and so much of difference in the companies. So we still haven't got the science right. There is no point getting the antibody test if you don't have symptoms. The test that is being done universally is an RT-PCR from the throat swab, which is a reasonably reliable test at a reliability of 70, in the good labs at 90%. And that's what we are doing to test and prove or disprove COVID. So not routine testing.
Yeah.
But
the second question.
routine, universal precaution stays forever.
See, the important of this, what we call seroconversion. If somebody is becoming infected with COVID and then they become antibody positive, that is seroconversion. Basically, they are immune and they are not infecting. We have now found that if COVID is remaining asymptomatic as well, or the patient has been admitted and sent back, they can be infective up to 28 days, which is why even the COVID patients who are discharged back home, they are asked to stay separate from others for another 14 days. So we do not know when this person is going to become non-infective. And it takes another 2 weeks for some of the antibodies to show up. So by the time we check for the antibody, in that 6 weeks period, the people who have come into contact with you would have been infected. So the answer is not checking for antibody. The antibody is probably for us, for healthcare workers to see whether we are convalescent. The others, you are still going to practice social distancing and quarantine, because in that interim gray zone period, you're still infective. So we have to follow the norms of isolation and quarantine. The second point was Prakash was asking was regarding availability of beds. Not all patients need to be admitted. 80% will be asymptomatic. So all that I urge you to do is look out for symptoms. Mainly check your temperature every day. If you're a chronic patient of asthma, or you're above 65, or you have diabetes, or you're on immunomedication, buy a pulse oximeter and check your oxygen on everyday basis. If that is okay, you don't need to panic. If you find any drop in the oxygen, or you feel breathless, or your temperature doesn't settle down in 2 weeks, you need admission. Even during admission, they will check your bloods, like I said before. They will do CT scan and or X-ray. If any suspicion and features suggestive of COVID appear, you will be kept in hospital. They will give you the same lime juice, what we have told, and the same corona pack. and they will send you home after 1 week to isolate yourself for the next 14 days minimum. They are now discharging patients from the main hospitals to what we call COVID care centers, which are housed in colleges and schools. Because I've been in close contact with all my colleagues in the front line in the government as well as the private sector, and I've treated COVID positive mums. This is how the whole thing works. If you are asymptomatic, you are sent home. There will be contact tracing. The family members will also be checked out, and you will be taken care of within your home premises or in the COVID care centers. There is a subset of patients, say about 10%, who can need hospitalization for oxygen. Those are the ones who are kept in the hospitals, and within that subset, about 4% can need even critical care. So this is the amongst the 100, that 10% will need hospitalization. Rest can be managed without it. But having said that, the first step you need to know is getting tested for COVID if you have symptoms, and seek medical help if there is appearance of new symptoms or worsening of your breathlessness. This is the main message. Do not worry about beds. If you have any, this is a very important crisis time. So if you have any queries of any patient who needing bed, just contact myself, Dr. Raghavan, Radha. We will help you trace a bed depending upon the availability. It not only depends upon the availability, it also depends on the geographical location, the logistics of transporting the patient, the financial capability and affordability of the patient as well. There is no point for me telling you, all of you get admitted in Apollo. It will be a costly affair because it's 14 days if you need admission. Whereas I can make arrangements for any other government center appropriately depending upon the risk situation. So there is nothing bad to go to a government center in COVID. COVID has taught us one lesson: rich or poor, it doesn't spare. The treatment is the same.
Okay, I have a question here. If a person is affected by COVID and he is cured after a month or so, is it again he will get COVID, or he is immune to that? Doesn't get COVID again and again.
Most of them are immune. Most of them are immune. They might develop complications of COVID. We are now seeing that patients with COVID previously can come back with clots in veins and lungs, or even strokes, or with stiff lung problems and difficulty in breathing. That is the aftermath of the COVID infection rather than acute COVID infection itself. People have been shedding virus. See, if somebody is critically ill, that means their viral load has been very high, which means that person can be infective for a long period of time. So it has implications for isolating that person as well as quarantining the contacts in their family with that person. That is the most important message. This is what we have seen.
Just a clarity about COVID reinfection. There is a lot of stories from China and Korea about it. COVID at this point of time, COVID-19, influenza for that matter, the old style influenza flu has nearly 85 strains. COVID at this point of time is supposed to have 36 different strains and probably developing as well. So it is quite possible that when you get one strain and you become immune to it, you may get infected with another strain. But thankfully, in any pandemic, at least in one area, one geographical area, it is usually one or max of two strains that usually happens. And therefore, when you become immune to it, it is unlikely you'll get another infection. China is a weird place. I mean, I'm not going to comment anything about China because they can get bad transmitted infection on a daily basis, and probably the population can handle it. But this routine COVID pandemic in the routine country, usually the reinfections are very, very low.
Dr. Meera, Dr. Raghavan, one question.
Yeah.
So typically, I think the biggest anxiety at this point is, while we will maintain all of the precautions that we can, but given the way this disease is, I think all of us will at some point have some sort of a exposure. Now, what's the right immediate action and medication to take if one of us in the family suddenly develops a fever? Do I wait to see if the fever aggravates for the first 2-3 days and continue to take my normal paracetamol kind of tablets? Or given the COVID construct, is there something specific that I should start doing on day one?
Okay. Now, I assume you will be already taking the immunity boosting stuff, which I told. Saline gargles 3 times a day. Take plenty of warm water. Keep hydrating yourself. Don't take anything from the fridge. Practice deep breathing. Lie prone and breathe. குழந்தையெல்லாம் தூங்க பண்ற மாதிரி, because that is shown to improve the lung capacity, and that is what people have followed, and that is what we advocate as well. It might be difficult for somebody with a paunch or who's pregnant, but try to lie prone and breathe. That is a very good way of improving your lung capacity for oxygen. Second thing, keep checking your pulse as well as your oxygen content. If you can get a pulse oximeter, which is quite reliable, check your sugars and make sure that is okay. And also you can take paracetamol, your Dolo 650 or paracetamol 500 to bring down the fever, because fever itself can increase your heart rate. Fever itself can increase your breathing rate, which can make things difficult. So bring down your fever. It might not settle with that, but don't panic. If it doesn't settle within 2 days, you need to seek medical attention earlier if the blood oxygen level comes down, especially people who are asthmatic or diabetic. The other thing is, if it continues for some time, say 5 days, it is safe to take acitral 500 milligram once a day. And now we have started introducing doxycycline. I understand people in the US will not get your hands to these preparations or medications over the counter, but I understand most of our Asians will have these like provisions in your house. So acitral is safe to take 500 milligram once a day for 5 days.
I want to add, I want to sort of polish what Dr. Meera said. Dr. Meera said, what she said is actually the treatment for you itself. But assuming that all the people who are subscribed to this are lay public, my request is that if you have fever, immediately consult a doctor.
Of course,
okay?
yes.
The reason why I said that is we want to test your COVID and see whether you're COVID positive or negative. And if you're COVID positive, it has a huge implication to you, the family. You may have a fever. If you follow the instruction Dr. Meera said, your child will go out and, your wife will go out and get milk, and you may, go out and get provisions for you as well. You are going to transmit infection across. So the request is that test whether you are COVID positive or negative. And if you're COVID negative, this is just a routine fever like anybody else who gets a fever. And that will, as Dr. Meera said, will settle with time, nothing to worry. If you have COVID, by good luck, the mortality in India at least is only 3%, which means the majority will come through the other side. That is the good news here. So as Dr. Meera said, we will take a simple precaution, add an extra point on that, add doxy, add azithromycin as the days goes by, which is best done under a medical supervision. So test for COVID.
You would have categorically noticed I did not mention hydroxychloroquine. I do not advocate that, and nobody takes it without medical prescription, not of your own accord, not just assuming that you are COVID or you're exposed to COVID, because it cannot be given without a prior ECG or an echo, and we do not know a baseline heart function. And if you take it inadvertently, it itself can have rhythm side effects. So we do not advocate specifically hydroxychloroquine. If that is what people were thinking, could be a protective mechanism, because there's a lot of media hype about it. I would say do not take it without a baseline ECG, echo, and a medical prescription and supervision.
Got it. Thank you. Just a follow-up question. Specifically on what you explained as the viral load. So are you saying that if somebody effectively follows a social distancing and the mask as a precaution, the viral load actually has a very direct impact on the severity of infection that it can? Okay,
absolutely. Absolutely. Apart from the host factor of immunity, which we cannot change, but this we can control.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You said, the fever is there. We have to go for a test, right? Maybe 1 or
Yes.
2 days we wait and then go. But do they need a doctor letter or a prescription
Yes.
to do the test?
Yes.
Do they just do it?
Yes. You can go to the government centers where they do the COVID test. But if you go to private centers, they want a medical prescription. They have capped the price to 3,500 now, and you need a ICMR form filling for that. So if for people who are here, if you think you need a COVID test, just contact one of us. We will make arrangements either for a home test or a center who will do it for you. And the appropriate instructions can be given to those centers.
Dr. Meera, one question.
Yeah.
So I read that even for the symptomatic patients, the oxygen level might come down. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so they suggest probably it is better to get that pulse oximeter, which
I
is
would
available.
suggest.
Yeah.
I would suggest. If
Keep
you think you
testing
are
it.
COVID positive, if you have diagnosed COVID positive, or you are a diabetic asthmatic person, you better buy one pulse oximeter. Check it twice a day. Simple. Or
Okay.
normally all of us should have 98 to 100. Maximum when you're sleeping deeply, it can go to 95. Anything lower than that, you need medical attention urgently.
Okay. Thank you.
Because with COVID specifically, what we have seen, even in low levels like 88, 86, people are not that symptomatic. They are comfortably sitting. But the moment it comes to 80, they can crash. So that crash can happen suddenly. So we monitor them. And that is the only thing we do is high flow oxygen. They don't need ventilation or anything. That itself takes them through the next week. So that intervention can happen only in a medical setting. So I advise women who are like I am dealing with pregnant women, I tell them buy a pulse oximeter and check it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Doctor, what are the precautions one must take if one of the flatmates is diagnosed with one of the apartment mates or somebody in the apartment is having COVID, right? So what precautions can the other people living in the community take?
Yeah, don't go to that house. Number one, stay away. Make your children not go there. That is it's very difficult to follow all this in a condo. Make your children not to go and play. It might seem unsocial. You're doing it for their good and your good. And if at all you come across them, please wear a mask. Don't shake hands. Don't be too social with them. Don't share food. You can send food, but make sure it's left there, and you don't take the utensils within that week. Let them wash it and keep it, and then you can take it. You help them, but with compassion, but make sure you're protected as well. You don't need COVID testing because you're maintaining social distancing. Make sure their family is looked after for their needs, so not all of them keep roaming about on the outside. That's very important.
Thank you, doctor.
Now, this question keeps rising because there are so many apartment communities where somebody has turned positive. This COVID is pretty much next door to us nowadays. So I would suggest all of you watch out for symptoms. Mild flu-like symptoms will go off. If you develop fever, which is not settling for 2 days, check your oxygen, seek medical attention, get your COVID done.
High risk for hypertension. Hypertension itself is not high risk. If you have hypertension and related cardiac disease or related renal disease, then it becomes the risk factor increases. When I say risk, if you get a COVID, then the risk of you getting serious infection increases. The risk of getting COVID for everybody is the same, whether it is with the hypertension or no hypertension, with renal disease or no renal disease, it doesn't matter. The risk of getting COVID is exactly related to mask, social distance, viral load, transmission, extra. But once the COVID enters your throat, whether it makes a mess of you or your body is able to control it back, is something which is related to the body's immune mechanisms.
Hello, doctor. May I talk?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Sometimes I have this running nose, especially when I am taking food. But after that, it stops. or after the gap of 4 or 5 days, it comes again, and then that is only for half day. Then it stops. So
It's
what should I
allergy.
do?
It's
That's
an
all. What should-
allergy.
Okay,
It's
okay.
an allergy.
So,
Try to avoid spicy food. That's
I
typically
see.
related to allergy. And
Acha, acha.
if you avoid spicy food or peppery item, that will bring down the allergy.
Acha, acha. Okay. Thanks a lot, doctor.
No problem.
So if there are no more questions, should we draw a line, or Prakash, do we have more questions?
Just give another minute and see if anybody else has-
I would request all to go through the chat box. There are lots of questions and asked and answers given there. It almost clarifies as many things as we could ever clarify. So it will
Dr.
be
Raghavan has
easy.
had a rapid fire viva.
Can't thank both of you enough. Really,
Yeah, thank you so much.
for taking time on a Sunday. Prakash, thanks for facilitating this.
Yeah, thanks to
I am
Prakash and
sure,
Radha for doing this.
all of us are going to be just subscribing to everything that you say and recommend hereafter. So,
That's
so
nice.
thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
So
Thank
what-
you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Doctor.
Prakash.
Thanks,
Wonderful
Doctor.
service.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
One-
Thank you.
Just
Thanks a
before we
lot.
sign off, there is one
Okay.
question from Doc.
guys. I won't be logging out of the session immediately, because when I log out, it's possible that the chat might just go off. So I'll leave it
Oh.
open for another half an hour or so. If somebody who was not gone through the chat, you can go through the chat. I'll log out only after half an hour.
There's
Thank
one
you,
question from
Prakash.
the dentist. Sir,
There is a dentist question. That's a very important question. I'm glad you spotted that.
ENT becomes the most susceptible
Acceptable.
group. People
And
think
ophthal.
respiratory ophthal also has cataract. They have a
Yeah.
thing to distance themselves. The ENT and the dentist, head and neck surgeons become super susceptible. I would suggest that you will use a 3M ply mask, a 3M respirator mask, which is available for about 5,000 rupees for your work. Definitely use the protective goggles. Do
And a
any
face shield.
and a face shield. Yeah, and a face shield. So this is as many precautions as you could. If you are going to do any dental work, such as tooth or whatever, get a COVID test done before doing the dental work.
Yes.
Now, even though the ICMR says to do COVID test only for symptomatic patients, at least in Chennai, people are very liberal that anybody who's undergoing a procedure, they are allowing the COVID test to be done. All we need to write is that COVID patient undergoing emergency surgery, and they will do it. And COVID is done in Eldrick, Medall. So many people are doing it, so it can be done before you do it. So before opening a clinic, make sure you are fully protected more than anything. You are more important than anybody else in the world.
Yeah, and the root canal patients will invariably be diabetic. So check out their COVID first and try to minimize your appointments for a day, because as I said, the duration of exposure is important. Don't allow walk-ins at least for the next 2 months. Do more work which is essential, and definitely wear a face shield, and cleaning between patients with sodium hypochlorite solution of all the surfaces is mandatory, because these are high-risk patients and high-risk procedures.
So sodium hypochlorite solution for surfaces, and alcohol wipe for all the electronics. Your swipe machine, a computer surface, TV screen. I have seen when I went to the dentist, he was having a wonderful TV screen for me to see as he was doing his dental work. But now that becomes an important source of infection as well. So you perhaps you cover the TV screen with a plastic and keep it aside. So clean. Between two, instead of doing 5 root canals a day, do 3, but make sure you and everybody is safe around you.
And other thing which we practice in our clinic is we screen all the patients, make sure their hands sterilized. We have a foot pump now as well, and also a sticker before they come to the clinic. And we maintain the distance. I have a face shield, Dr. Raghavan has a face shield, all the staff are face shield. We try and encourage digital transactions, so nobody needs to handle card or cash. These are some ways we can take charge of protecting ourselves and our staff from possible asymptomatic patients. So I think this should be followed how much ever you can.
Dr. Mehra, I have a question.
Yeah.
See, since we are working from home for the last 2 months, we are just trying to spend most of our time under the air conditioner.
Yeah,
So
a home air conditioner is not a problem, because we are all living in separate rooms. We have we have the luxury of social distancing in well ventilated homes. When you have ventilated homes, when there is large spaces, air conditioner is not a problem. Air conditioning becomes a problem in a closed space with a lot of people.
Okay, thanks.
Such as malls, such as shops. I went to one of the shops yesterday. That day they had switched off the air conditioning as per the government instruction. So air conditioning.
Even in hospitals, my OPD consultation room doesn't have air conditioning. So we sit with all the protective equipment. It sweats like hell, but that is what we need to have.
Thank you.
Not at homes. Homes are fine.
Sitting a long time.
And don't wear masks at home. Don't wear masks if you're sitting in your office cubicle alone. Don't wear masks inside the car.
Yeah, I saw one of the politicians sitting, having a mask and doing a Zoom meeting. I couldn't understand the purpose of it. But anyway, that jokes apart.
Because that video will go viral anyway. So
that's a good one.
That video has to go viral on a daily basis. He's giving interview on a daily basis. The reason why I wanted to insist upon this point is that sitting and working from office, you will develop a lot of backache unless you have ergonomic chairs, ergonomic tables, and the computer proper systems. You are going to develop backache. One of my classmates is a head teacher of an international school. He wrote a message to me saying that 3 of his teachers have developed a tingling sensation in the arms and legs thanks to the spinal canal problem, because they are doing online class 7 hours a day. It can be very testing. So make sure if this is due. So if you are going to work from home and sitting in the computer for a long time, make sure your ergonomics are okay for that.
Dr. Mehra, you had mentioned it in your slide. When you're buying vegetables, don't apply sanitation on them and all. Can you just quickly cover that? Great.
Yeah. See, if you have packaged, like in the US, they will buy bananas, which is in a package, or other things which are packaged like apples. They can sanitize the packages with alcohol sanitizer or sterilium, then keep it in the fridge after keeping it in sunlight for half an hour. But if we buy vegetables, we carry our bags and buy them. Those vegetables, you wash them, but keep them outside 20 minutes, take them in. When you wash them with turmeric, water, and soda bicarb or salt, whichever is available, then you use them. And if you peel, say for you're going to make salads, you peel the skin, wash them again, it'll be fine. Anything which will boil, anything which will be steaming, anything which is piping hot will kill any pathogen. So not a problem. Yes, sir.
Hello, doctor. Just a small question about the mask.
Yeah.
Do we need to have a 3-layer mask for any common person or any mask? Okay.
I'll tell that.
Because
if you are at home, if you are at home,
no, I am going outside. I'm outside only.
If you are going outside, if you are above 65, a surgical mask or a 3-ply mask is now recommended, because cloth mask will not be protective. Not everybody needs N95 mask. N95 masks to be reserved for healthcare professionals or somebody who is exposed to COVID. Others who are above 65, who are a high risk, if say for example, a cancer patient going to the hospital for checkup, that person preferably a surgical mask or a 3-ply mask. But if you're at home or somebody is visiting you at home, then cloth mask is enough. The cloth mask has this advantage that you can wash it every day. So you can use 1 a day. Surgical mask has to be disposed. There can be a shortage of supply, then you will suffer. N95 mask definitely for not the lay public, only for healthcare worker.
Because in today's interesting times today, they reported WHO has changed the stance and asking everybody to wear 3-ply mask. With
mainly for the high-risk groups. See, not everybody is going outside. If you're going outside, definitely. That's what the WHO is recommending. Yes, correct.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Dr. Rao, yes, sir.
Yeah, when you dispose mask, especially the disposable mask, I suggest you tear it and put it in the dustbin.
Okay.
And
It
that
cannot be
not
mixed with
putting it
anybody.
outside. That putting in the dustbin will mean that that mask will not come back into circulation one more time. That is number one.
Okay.
Number two is by putting it in the dustbin, it is not going to be allowed by the dog in the road to eat it as well. So these are very simple precautions to be taken. Now,
Better to put it in a paper bag and dispose it.
WHO, we have to be a bit careful with what WHO will recommend. Then we have to modify it to our circumstance as well. The availability of a 3-ply mask is not that. See, the other thing which I noticed is when you use a mask, many people are using a rubber band around the mask. So after about 5 times, the mask will become slowly like this, and then it will become a thyroid mask, not a face mask. Okay.
Yes.
So that just defeats the purpose of a mask. So I would even recommend that have a mask with a tie, the old style surgical mask, so that it stays over the nose. The mask has to cover nose and face and the mouth, not the throat. So a good cloth mask, even having 2 cloth masks, will give the same protection as your 3-ply mask. So why wouldn't you use it?
Thank you.
And if the mask becomes wet, it is time for disposing. A wet mask is a breeder for COVID.
Correct.
So anything which falls on it, like water, or it becomes wet, dispose it. It cannot be disinfected. And surgical masks are for disposal. You cannot spray sterilium. The moment you spray sterilium, the porous nature of the mask gets altered and it's no more protective. People buy this surgical mask and say, I can use it for a week. It's not the case.
For lay public, I strongly recommend simple cloth mask, if necessary, 2 cloth masks with a tie so that it covers the nose and the face.
I think it's good for us as well, because what I find is many of these masks can cause allergy. It can make your face tickly, you can sweat, it becomes very uncomfortable. So we wear a cloth mask and we are provided for all our staff. And then on top of that, I wear a N95. Yes, it is cumbersome, but at least it prevents the irritation because we have to wear it for long hours the whole day. It prevents the allergy on the face as well. Our temperatures don't help us in that sense. So we need to look after those things as well. So if you're at home and you're not a person who's generally going to a crowded places, be with a cloth mask, which you can wash every day and use it.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Raghavan, Dr. Meera. It's really great having you.
Thank you for arranging this. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much for arranging as well. And I sincerely thank all the participants who had
made it so interactive
as well, and made it so interactive, so many questions as well. Really appreciate that. As Prakash said, he can leave the chat box open so that people can still read through.
Somebody has requested a screenshot of the chart items, not chart items, chat items. Prakash, you know.
Sure, I'll send it across.
You guys deserve a clap.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very useful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doctors and all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, doctors.
Thank you.
Last question I ask.
Yes, yes.
I am Dr. Viswanathan, speaking from USA. I am father of Nandini, who is working for Servion.
Okay.
So my question is, I was told that there will be a second wave of COVID-19 in the next winter. What is your opinion about that?
Any epidemic or pandemic will have a second wave because all these people will relax their restrictions and go in. There'll be a small peak of things happening, just like the Spanish flu or the SARS, which happened. So that is bound to happen. But that is why we say you have to practice this social distancing and hand hygiene, or not relax these norms, whatever the government strategy or the national strategy is. This is
I
for our
see.
protection. Yes, it is likely to happen because everybody will become relaxed. There'll be more crowding. Schools opens. The people will start going to weddings. People will start going to places of worship. There will be a peak. Yes, it's inevitable in any epidemic.
Okay,
Unless
thanks.
we find a vaccine, this is going to happen.
Oh, till that happened, it will continue.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Doctor.
Meera and Raghavan, my friend Chandana joined from Australia. It should be like 3 o'clock.
Wow.
Right, 2 o'clock.
I know. God, you don't need to worry. Australia has capped it, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Wow.
Very sweet.
Dr. Shubha here. Just one question. You had mentioned that, in case it's really emergency, we can contact you. Is there a way how to contact you?
You can Skype or you can send a WhatsApp. Definitely, we will be in touch. Not a problem.
If this is a friend from Australia contacting us, may not help you.
No, for their parents might be.
That is not, I don't think that was Chandana, right?
Okay. Now, there are a couple of things which I wanted to just as jokes apart. It's not about contacting us. Every doctor of your choice is available online now.
Yes.
Okay, by default. And government has introduced an online portal for government doctors as well. So the online consultation is a norm now. Number one. Number two is if there is an emergency, for our own clinic, our own staff attends the call between 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Of course, all of you are friends of Prakash and Radha will take care of you all. And thirdly, if you are, far away place and your parents are here and you want some help, by all means, drop in a message. We will try our best to help in any way we could.
And believe me, the press and the media, your typical Nakiran and Junior Vigdan are a whole lot of rubbish. Doctors are working flat out and trying to signpost appropriately in this crisis time as much as they can. So there is no inhibition from approaching anybody for any kind of service at this point, be it government sector or private hospital, to be honest.
If there is a button in your TV remote which can switch off all the news channels, by all means do it. If there is a button which can switch off all the COVID news from your WhatsApp, by all means do it. If there is a button to switch off your FB, please do it. Be blissful, be safe, be alone, use your mask, use social distance. All of you will be fine.
Great.
So,
thank you.
Just a minute. If anybody wants to reach out to Dr. Meera or Dr. Raghavan, you can just message me. My number is 98400-1446. I will drop that in the chat box as well. So you can save my number and anything you need, just drop a message, then I can coordinate with the doctors.
Okay, we'll take leave. It's Sunday night at 9 o'clock. It was so great to have all of you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good morning to the person from Australia.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Speed up, good night, rather. Just to catch up another 3 rounds of sleep now.
I know.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful, Prakash and Radha. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Prakash. It was very helpful.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
இவனோட தான் குமார் லேண்ட் வாங்கலான்னு இருந்தான் அப்புறம் என்ன ஆச்சு கும்பு போயிடுது
குமார் உடனே பல்ஸ் ஆக்சிமீட்டர் போட்டா ஆர்டர் திஸ் அப்படின்னு பல்ஸ் ஆக்சிமீட்டர் தெரியல என்ன பல்ஸ் ஆக்சிமீட்டர் வாங்கணும்னு சொன்னால பல்ஸ் கம்மியா இருந்தா ஜாஸ்தியா இருந்தா எப்படி இருக்குன்னு பாக்கிறதுக்கு அதை ஆர்டர் பண்ணேன்னு போட்டான்
பல்ஸ் நம்மளுக்கு
இவ்வளவு நேரமா கொசு வெப்பத்தை குடிச்சிருந்தது காலை எவ்வளவு குண்டா இருந்து தெரியுமா கொசு
Good, ma. Super. Super. Yes,
Very interactive. When Nilama took the mic, Raghav took the keyboard. Amazing typing skills. Very informative. People are forwarding messages. They record